Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm talking about raising capital by companies. Some of you have told me that raising capital is difficult for you, so you asked me to do a video to simplify it, and here we are. So please share it with your friends so that you can all, have something to learn concerning raising capital. So when you talk about raising capital, what are we saying? We are looking at the different ways in which a company raises funds to run its day-to-day business. It can do so, for example, through selling shares to the public. It can do so by getting loans from banks or loan institutions. It can also plow back its profits without declaring dividends to the shareholders. So one of the ways we're going to look at, the first way, is the selling of shares to members of the public. I'm going to break it down easily so that you understand it better. Then we'll look at the loans and then the plowing back of profits. So when a company chooses to sell its shares to the public, it does so by issuing what we call a prospectus. And a prospectus is really a document or a circular. It looks something like this booklet. It tells you everything you need to know about the company so that you make an informed decision on whether to buy the shares in the company or not. So it will tell you the company name, how much share capital it has, what business does it do. You know, there are several companies that have sold shares on the Ugandan Stock Exchange. MTN, Uganda Clays, we have New Vision, we have there are several really. So when they are selling these shares to the public, when they decide to raise funds by selling shares to the public, they have to first issue a prospectus or come up with a document called the prospectus. And this prospectus is what gives the world information about the company, so that if you're buying shares in this company, you know what you're buying. And this prospectus has a legal implication on every officer that is involved in the prospectus. First of all, you must register it and it must be approved by the Capital Markets Authority in Uganda. Then it must be registered by the registrar. It must be given to the registrar for registration. And everyone named as director in the prospectus must sign that prospectus. And if these things are contravened or the laws requiring the prospectus details, every officer who's involved will be fined, and even the company will be fined. So this is what is given to the public, and the public, it's this information that they use to decide whether they are going to buy shares in this company or not. That's why the information must be accurate and must be submitted and registered so that it can be available to everyone who wants to buy shares. So you find there are several companies on the stock exchange in New York, in Kenya. KQ is in Kenya, Safaricom in Kenya, Celto in Zambia. So different companies raise money by selling shares to people of the public, and they do this by issuing a prospectus. So you find that there are certain times when the company is not ready to issue the prospectus. They've been caught by time, or they've not done everything they need to do, and therefore they submit what we call a statement in lieu of a prospectus. Really, it has a bit of the same information, but the legal implications are not the same as a prospectus. And even when you're reading a statement in lieu of a prospectus as opposed to a prospectus, you know that it's not as binding as a prospectus. So this is for public companies that have not issued a prospectus yet on formation. So they file this statement in lieu of a prospectus with a registrar, and this is before they give out shares or before they allot shares. They file this statement in lieu of a prospectus, and it's signed by everyone who's involved in the issuing of this statement in lieu of a prospectus. And its content is pretty much like the prospectus, but it's not really a prospectus. So it is signed by a company that is that is a public company, and it's not yet ready to fully declare its prospectus. It's for one reason or another, it will sign a statement in lieu of a prospectus. So when this company of ours wants to sell its shares, what does it do? How does it sell the shares? MTN, how do they sell their shares? It could be through a method called placings. There are 6 different methods, or 7, but we'll start with placings. So placings means that the company, your MTN, sells its shares to an issuing house or a brokerage firm or an agency, and that agency sells to its in-house clients, or it buys all the shares itself. Let's assume, for example, today, if you want to buy shares from the New York Stock Exchange, all you have to go is use Cheaper Cash, the app, and you're able to buy shares from New York. Now, cheaper cash is the middleman between us and the New York companies or the New York Stock Exchange. So in this case, for placings, the companies in New York that are listed on the stock exchange, for example, can issue their shares to cheaper cash, and cheaper cash issues to us, its clients. That's called placings. That's different from offers by tender, where shares are sold to the highest bidder from the public. For example, MTN says it's selling its shares, and whoever offers the best price for them will take them. NSSF, having the money, could decide to say that, you know what, we'll take all the shares. That's offers by tender. It's like auctioning. They auction the shares, and the highest bidder, best price, takes all the shares. Rights issue, on the other hand, or script issue, the company invites its own shareholders to subscribe for new shares. So they don't give them, they sell them the shares at a discounted price, at a lower price than they would find the shares in the market. So this is called rights issue. They issue to them rights or shares by giving them to the shareholders, and the company is the one that invites them to buy more shares. Bonus issue, on the other hand, number 4, that instead of giving the shareholders dividends, the company will tell them that we are going to give you shares. So they give them more shares, and they keep the dividends. Any profits that they would have given them this year, they don't give them cash, they just give them more shares. And that's what we call by the bonus issue. That is the bonus issue. So the offer for sale, the method of sale through offer for sale, here the shares are issued to the issuing house, like we had cheaper cash, but now the issuing house sells them to the public at a higher price. So it doesn't sell them to its clients like placings. Here for offer for sale, it sells it to the public and sells them at a higher price, and therefore makes the difference of the njaulo between what they bought them at and what they sell them at, and therefore they make profit in the offer for sale. Now, the direct issue is what usually the companies in Uganda have been doing. They sell the shares directly themselves. MTN says you buy shares, you buy them directly. There's no middleman used. There's no selling shares to shareholders. Anyone who wants to buy, they buy them directly from the company. So that's the other method of issuing or selling shares for public companies. So after this company has issued shares, or first of all it got a prospectus provided to the public bought shares, it must give the shareholders, what we call a share certificate. It's the document of title, as you see here, that shows that you own shares in that company. So here we're saying that it shows one's ownership in the company. It must be issued, they must be given within 60 days of allotment or distribution of shares. The date, from the date they start distributing shares, they must issue share certificates within 60 days, and every director who fails to do so is liable to a fine. Now, when you hold this share certificate, in law we say you have prima facie evidence that you're the owner of those shares, or from the face of it, by just seeing what is on your name without investigating further. That's what we mean by prima facie. It means that you're the owner of those shares, and the company is estopped, or it's prevented from denying that they issued you that share certificate, or that you paid for the shares that they have registered their own. So that is what the share certificate does. It's like a land title. It's a title to your ownership of the shares. It shows how many shares you have, when you got them, and the name of the company. Now, sometimes companies issue share warrants instead of share certificates. It's up to the company in its articles to decide whether it will be issuing warrants or certificates. So the company articles must authorize the company to use share warrants instead of share certificates. And with share warrants, they are only given to those who have fully paid up for their shares, not to those who have not paid up for all their shares. Now, the share warrant is a negotiable instrument. In other words, you can give it or transfer it by just delivering it to the person you want it to sell the shares to. And these share warrants are only issued by companies that are limited by shares. In other words, companies that are limited by guarantee don't do share warrants. And the person who takes the share warrant takes it free of any existing issues or equities or claims. In other words, if you have a share warrant, you have an unchallengeable interest in the company. It's stronger than a share certificate, because a share certificate can be challenged. Because remember, we said it's only on the face of it that you own it, but can be challenged. But a share warrant is stronger. You cannot be easily challenged with a share warrant. So share warrants are choices of the company. Either they issue share warrants or share certificates. If it issues a share warrant, It must be a limited liability company that has shares, and it's only issued to those who have fully paid up their shares. The share warrants are transferable by just delivering it. Then you sell it to someone by just giving it to them and they give you cash. Whereas share certificate, they must sign. You must transfer the shares by signing somewhere, the share transfer form. Now I want to talk about raising capital through loans. Companies going to a bank or a loan institution or financial institution and taking out a loan for themselves. Remember, for a company to be able to have a loan, the articles must first approve that process. They must approve that the company is able to take out a loan. So let's look at the loan process. So when a company takes out a loan, it's issued what they call a debenture, or a document that shows that this company is owed money. So this debenture that we have here, it's usually registered with the company registry, and it's taken out by the bank that has given the company money. So it says, I have lent this company this amount of money on this day, etc. And the bank registers this debenture with the company registry. So that when you want to find out about this company and you want to lend them money, another lender wants to lend them money, they usually first go to the company registry and search, does this company have a loan with any other person? Once they do the company search, they'll find that there's an existing debenture. So the debenture is a document or paper that shows that this company is indebted to a bank, for example, and it shows the kind of debt it is. It is a distinct debt. Which bank is it? Which bank is entitled to be paid? How much was it? All the details of the loan are specified in the debenture. So a debenture is a document that is evidence of a loan and is registered with the company registry. So a company can choose to either do a debenture or a debenture stock, depending on the company's interest. A debenture stock is a loan fund. Think of it like, for example, our company, Uganda Clay's Billboard, just an example, wants to borrow money, wants to borrow 150 billion shillings. It's going to say, I'll borrow 50 billion from Crane Bank, I'll borrow 500 million from Stanbic Bank, I'll borrow 100 billion from Equity Bank. So it borrows a little from each bank, and that entire package is what we call the loan, the debenture stock. So the debenture stock is like a loan fund. It's a bit of everyone. Think of it like, a bit of everyone. You have a whole circle here, and a bit of everyone is given a small part of that loan. So it's a fund created by the company, and it's divisible among different banks or different creditors. And each bank holds a debenture stock certificate, something like this, a certificate that shows that of the loan over 500 billion that was taken out by this bank, for which it lent 50 million. For example, a company can obtain from 5 banks and give each a debenture stock. And the debenture stock beneficiaries, all these 5 banks rank in pari passu. They rank at the same level. They have the same interest. No one is superior to the other. No bank loan is superior to the other. Even if you took more money than one, or you lent out more money than one in a debenture stock, all the banks are at the same level and they are paid back in the same measure, same percentage given back. So this debenture stock is divisible, and you could find that our bank, Uganda Clays, whatever, could decide that I'm going to sell off the section that I borrowed from Crane Bank, and I sell it off to DFCU Bank from my debenture stock. So the stock is divisible. That's why we're saying that our company can subdivide the stock or the fund and transfer to different people. So it is divisible. But what you need to remember about the debenture stock is that the company must be authorized to do a debenture stock, and companies choose either to take out a debenture or a debenture stock. But debenture stock creditors rank in pari passu. It should be pari, P-A-R-I, pari passu, in equal rank together. So when our company has taken out a loan or is going to take out a loan, they require it to furnish security. There are 2 types of securities can either provide fixed security or floating security. So the fixed security could say, I'm going to provide my house. This is a mortgage. I'll put the house as security, or I'll put my car as security. That is called a fixed security or fixed charge. This is a charge or security that is specific and clear. It can be seen, it can be identified, it is fixed. This is different from the floating charge, as we're going to see. So if you understand the fixed charge, we're saying a fixed charge is a fixed security. Items that are particular and you don't even use it. For example, you go and park your car. That creditor says, park your car, give me the keys until you pay back my loan. That's a fixed security or fixed charge. A floating charge, on the other hand, is whereby, think of it like a cover, like all this property here could be pledged as security, or all this property here. And it's not, you can't say it's a particular taxi, no. You could say all the taxis for the company that are owned by a company have been put as security. But the company is allowed to use these taxis, it can sell them off, bring in new ones, but all of that is used as security. Now the bank says that if you default, then that security will crystallize and will start selling off everything. But for as long as you don't default on your payments, you'll still be able to use your cars or your buildings or sell off, buy new ones, and all of those will be secured as security for the loan. So it's a floating charge because it floats like a cloud over the property. The property is not parked anywhere, the cars are not parked, they do their business, they run, but they're under security of a charge. Now, usually, this floating charge must be registered by the bank also within 42 days. So these two charges, the fixed charge and the floating charge, must be registered. If it is on houses or land, it must be registered with the company, with the land registry within 42 days. So these are the charges. It's either a fixed charge or a floating charge, and they're just securities that you place to be able to take a loan out as a company. We said the fixed charge is fixed items, they are clear, they are packed, they are not used mainly, and floating charges you use as you wish, but once you default, then the floating charge becomes fixed and is sold off. So the last part is raising capital by plowing back profits, and here we are saying the company puts back its money into the company. Instead of giving out profits to the shareholders, the money is put back into the company to grow the business. So I want to thank you for watching. Please share this video with your friends so they can learn a little bit more about raising capital. I also want you to know that this is just the bare minimum. It's just to supplement your notes. It's not in replacement of your notes. It's just to help you understand the principles better. But please refer to your notes and dig deeper into your notes, because the notes have cases, they have sections of the law which you have to remember to be able to pass the exam. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.